Hey everyone, welcome. Jen O'Sullivan here, and I'm going to help you unlock homeodynamics. Sort of go over what it is, but give you really the 8 keys to unlocking your own homeodynamics. Okay, so you may have heard homeostasis, and that is a state of like balancing your health. Really, your body is in this constant state of trying to balance itself. So, just so you know, this book, The Health Guide, has a whole section on homeodynamics, understanding the difference between homeostasis and allostasis, which is basically homeodynamics. And to understand that really homeostasis is the regulatory system in your body that is trying to get all of the smaller things going well, like the things that you want to be balanced, right? So it's all the little things that are like your blood pumping properly, your breathing properly, just balance. And so in the book here, it just states that homeostasis generally deals with smaller regulations such as blood pressure, glucose, temperature, right? Whereas homeodynamics or allostasis works with the adaptive responses to stressors. Okay, so what does that look like? And really, when you think they both go hand in hand, but the idea of getting yourself into a state of optimal health is key. But how do you unlock that, right? So, understanding that the more in balance you can become, the more healthy you are, the more out of balance some of these things are. And again, we talk about just looking at the book here, if you were reading this along with me, the more environmental, internal, and emotional stress that is placed on the body, the more out of balance it becomes. So it's not just stress in the way that we think of stress, but environmental stressors, right? So if you're around a very toxic climate, or I remember one time living in Pasadena by the freeway and I was getting sick all of the time, and it was, all of the dust and gross things that were coming off of that freeway. And then the fact that the mountains were right there and it was just piling back down on me. So, environmental stressors, but internal stressors can really look like food, things that you're putting on your body, in your body, in the form of what is going on around you, synthetics and all of those things. But then the emotional stressors. So, it really covers all three areas here. And so part of this is understanding, okay, where can I start? So I'm going to give you 8 keys today to unlock the ability for you to have a healthier lifestyle. I know you know some of these things, and some of us tend to like roll our eyes and say, "Well, I know these things. Why would I want to do more of them if I already understand them and I'm already applying some of these things, right?" Okay, remember, it's a terrain. We're looking at your terrain. Now, you might be like, "I don't know what that means." Well, remember, think about a plant, and a plant that you might have that is dying. Maybe it's not doing well. And that plant, doesn't look good, and the leaves are drooping and they look really dull. Well, you're not going to go to that plant and get some of that plant shine. Now, when I was in college, that's what I did. I had these really fun plants in my home when I first got into college. My home, my dorm, I really didn't have a dorm. We had apartments up in Pasadena. And I'll tell you, I had all these plants, and after about 6 months or so, they just really looked awful and dingy and gross. And I went to Target and got that plant shine. It's really gloss. It's like I put nail polish on the plants. You shake the stuff up and you spray the leaves, and they get this kind of false gloss, and they look beautiful. Well, any of you who are a green thumb know that's like the worst thing you can do, because I'm not checking the soil. I wasn't checking the roots. The pots themselves were like they were root bound. They weren't getting the nutrients they needed. I wasn't watering them well enough, right? They were just not getting enough sunlight. All the things that a plant needs to thrive, it wasn't getting. And I was thinking, hey, I'm kind of going to kind of go in the back door here and just spray some glossy paint on them. Literally, that's what I was doing. And it worked for a little bit of time. They still look nice, but eventually the things died. So we have to remember that about our bodies, that when we're doing these fast backdoor things, like I want the easy fix, I want the easy answer medication, or whatever is going to be the quick fix, it's really a very temporary solution to a chronic problem. Okay, so I'm going to go over the top 8 things that you need to be doing. This is going to be rapid fire, and I know you know these things, but I just want to encourage you to reconsider some of this stuff. And it's a lot of times it's just a light bulb moment of reminders. Okay, so number one, and this is hard for many of you, but you absolutely need to get more sleep. Sleep deprivation is a massive cause of illness. Okay, it lowers your immune system drastically when you are sleep deprived, and all sorts of other issues. Your hormones don't work properly, so it kind of causes a snowball effect here. So, how do you get more sleep? Well, add 1 hour of sleep to the front end of your sleep time. So, if you typically go to bed at 10 p.m., really go to bed at 9 and just turn out all the lights and don't be on your phone and don't watch TV. Like literally, you want to try to go to sleep an hour early. So try that. Second thing, I want you to exercise every day. You need at least 10 to 15 minutes of just a walk. Simple, right? Some of you maybe are immobile. And if that's your case, then you need some sort of, if you can move your arms or something, and even chair exercises. But I encourage you to remember that you have to move. You have to get your circulatory system and your lymphatic system working so that it's going to get things circulating. Okay. And that's super important. So, the other element to this, though, is that about twice a week, I want you to try to get some sort of sweat inducing workout in. That means 30 minutes of something that's going to cause you to break a sweat. You shouldn't be able to talk and do the exercise at the same time. So it might mean getting on a treadmill. It might mean, walking up and down some stairs. That's kind of something that some people can do, especially if you haven't moved a lot. Those of you guys who do like to exercise, just remember you still want to, if you're over exercising, sometimes you want to make sure that you're doing those smaller things like a 15-minute walk, right? Okay, so remember, walk for 10 to 15 minutes a day, and then twice a week, try to get in about 30 minutes of sweat inducing exercise. All right, the third thing is check your water consumption. Some of you have told me I drink tons of water, only to realize that you're actually not drinking enough. So you want to drink about 50, every 50 pounds of body weight, 1 liter. So, if you're 150 pounds, that's 3 liters of water. The other way to do the math on that is take your body weight. So again, if you were 150 pounds, you would divide it by 2, you would get 75 and replace the pounds with ounces. So now you would need half your body weight in ounces for your daily consumption of water. So a 150-pound person would need 75 ounces, and a 200-pound person would need 100 ounces. And if you are working out that day, meaning you're doing a sweat inducing workout, you need to add 20 to that number. So if you're 200 pounds and you did a sweat inducing workout, you need 120 ounces of water that day. It's usually more than most of you are drinking. Some of you, very few, but some of you are over consuming water, meaning you're drinking more than a gallon of water per day and you only weigh like 120 pounds. If that's the case, I want you to regulate down a little bit. You're over consuming water and you're flushing nutrients out. So there is definitely overdoing it on any of these things. Like you could oversleep, right? If you're sleeping 10, 12 hours a day, there's something wrong. If you're exercising 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, there's something wrong. So this is where we want to just remember that there is also the overindulgence on some of these things. Okay, number 4, and this will probably won't be one of the most difficult for most of you, is to lessen your stress. And that might mean something like try to do something that makes you laugh. So I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I told her, one of the things that if I'm feeling like I just haven't had some good laughs, I'll watch a really dumb comedy. Or my son and I will watch Clarence. And Clarence is an old, they canceled it. I don't know why they canceled it. It was fantastic, but it's an old cartoon that you can find, and not super old. I mean, not like Tom and Jerry old, but it's definitely a funny, funny little 15-minute episode cartoon. Or I know friends who go online and watch YouTube videos on cats, like funny videos on cats, like something that is going to make you laugh out loud. actually laugh out loud, like belly laugh. So, we might as a family sit down and watch Ridiculousness. It's probably the longest running show on MTV. It's like I feel like the whole entire MTV should just be labeled Ridiculousness now. So, but that's what you do, right? Sit down and laugh. Okay, that's a very important thing. And some of you guys might be thinking, man, I actually haven't belly laughed in a long time. So I encourage you to do that. That is going to be a very quick, easy way to lessen your stress. But then also consider taking mini vacations. And what I mean by that is vacations from your media, which means no screen time. So that might just mean, every day you have a 3 hour slot of no media, none. Read a book, do something where you walk around outside, go do something that is not media related. And you might even do a whole day of media free. Some of you guys can do that, and that's great. And usually on Sundays, I do a mostly media free, meaning I'm on my phone for just communications and stuff, but I'm not hanging out online. Okay, so that's a big one. Lessen your stress. Take a nap. It's okay. Give yourself permission to take a nap. Okay, and that will help with getting more sleep, right? If you are sleep deprived. Okay, number 5, I want you to consider eating more dark leafy greens. And some of you are like, like I don't want to eat more dark leafy greens. All right, if you have a hard time with dark leafy greens, the best thing you can do is juice. Like Jamba Juice has this thing called Great Greens, I think. It's my favorite. It's off the menu now, but you can still order it. And if they have all of the ingredients there, they'll make it for you. But it's basically just like spinach and kale and cucumber. And for whatever reason, it tastes fantastic. And you can add a little lemon if you want in there. You can add a few things, but don't add like bananas. Don't add high sugar content. Don't add pineapple. Those things kind of negate your ability to do well with the greens. But I want you to consider, if you're not having a good time eating salads and stuff, I want you to consider juicing, and the greener the better. And remember that you can put lemons in it, you can put different things in it that will help cut down that green taste. But man, if you could just knock it back. We do multi-greens here and Ninja Red. Those are two high antioxidant things that you can use, especially if you're not eating leafy greens. My husband doesn't, so he always has to eat my multi-greens. But that's just something to consider, that's going to help your homeodynamics greatly. Okay, number 6. Can you try to avoid certain things like processed foods as much as possible, as much as you can do? I want you to avoid processed foods. I want you to keep your white sugar to under 25 grams per day. What that looks like in actuality is about 6 grams per meal. So you really do have to track it. A lot of sugar shows up in sauces and other things, but if I see something and it's some packaged thing and I can see how many grams of sugar and it's over 6 grams, I'm like, can't eat it. Okay, so limit your sugar intake to under 25 grams per day. Limit your alcohol. I would eliminate alcohol if you can. High sugar, and gluten. Okay, so getting rid of some of the grains in your life, but specifically gluten. So those are food items. You're going to limit these things, and the big ones for me are sugar, alcohol, and gluten, and processed foods. Okay. Another thing, and this is now we'll drop down into the drinks. We kind of could put alcohol in there as well, but alcohol is such a high sugar content thing typically that I put it up in the food item thing. But I want you to, number 7 is to avoid or limit your consumption of caffeine, carbonated drinks, coffee, those kind of things. All of those items, caffeine, carbonated drinks, sodas, coffee, all of those have a high acid content. It's going to disrupt your homeodynamics. It's going to disrupt your ability to respond to stress well. Okay, it's very interesting when I see people getting off some of these things and going like, wow, like I feel so much better. My body is responding better. Okay, number 8, I want you to limit or try to eliminate as much as you can your exposure to synthetic fragrances, chemicals and toxins that are found in your home, personal care products, and cleaning supplies. It's rampant, especially with a lot of people working from home now, is that there's leaching happening and there's a lot of chemicals that are synthetic in your home that are bad. So all things are chemical, right? So essential oils are chemicals, they're chemicals. We tend to use the term chemical in regard to something that's toxic for us, but anything in high amounts can be toxic. So well, we want to be careful and cautious to use the correct words and talk about synthetics. So we want to remove as many synthetics in our homes. Now, one of the biggest um, offenders when it comes to synthetics is fragrance. So candles, like pack them up, ship them out. No more candles in your home, honestly. The scented little plug-in things, pack them up, throw them in the trash. Any fragrance that you're spraying around that is synthetic, throw them out. Like cleaning supplies, all have synthetics. My cleaning ladies come over and I'm like, no to those two, yes to these. And I have my thieves products that I'm like, you'll use this. And they always kind of look at me weird, and then they're like, okay. And I say, because I can't breathe. It's really bad. They don't speak English, so I have to like look up on my phone and translate it. It's super cute. They always laugh at me because I try really hard to speak Spanish. Um, all my Spanish in high school just like went out the window. I gave them some oils this week, and I said para ti because that's what I know. It's like all I know. They totally giggle at me, but they were excited about them. So I want to just encourage you to get rid of as many synthetics. So all of your fragrances, perfumes, things that you're putting on your body, right? A lot of your makeup and personal care products all have synthetics in them. Most of them do. So that's where it's difficult because you kind of got to do a full sweep. Now, what happens when you take all 8 of these items and kind of really rein them in? Well, guess what? Your hormones start working properly. You start losing weight. Honestly, your skin looks better, your hair looks better, you look younger, you feel younger, your joints don't hurt as much. There's so much that happens when you get into a state of natural homeostasis and homeodynamics. Now, I'm not talking about homeostasis where your body has now readjusted to your new norm of being 400 pounds. I'm just trying to help you understand here because your body will adjust and it will adapt. And that's why you don't die immediately. But when you actually go back to my plant analogy, that yes, you might be, and this is another analogy that I use with my son, but shining the poo, right? Like you're taking something that is just sick and dying and you're just trying to shine it. We don't. We want to, like the plant, from the inside out, look to see what is our terrain, what is the dirt from which we're drawing, how can we get better from a whole body perspective. I never want to teach you that an oil is going to do the trick or a supplement is going to do the trick. And that's the question I get all the time because we are trained, we are hardwired to ask for the band-aid approach. We want to just know what's going to work and what to use with it and just be done with it. But if you're willing to do the work, I promise you, life on the other side of doing the work is a clean temple. My temple is a temple for God, and I want to honor that. I don't want to be tired if I'm called to minister somewhere. I don't want to be glutened if I'm called to do something, right? I don't want to have hormone problems or disruptions if I need to do something, if anything. I mean, you think that through. If you right now say to me, Jen, I'm emotionally in a horrible place, I'm physically in a horrible place, could you go on a mission trip? Probably not. Right, so we're limiting the ability for God to use you, and for me that's really not an option. And I know, like, I look at gluten is the most toxic thing for me. Every one of you has something different, but for me, gluten, and a lot of my friends at church sort of make fun of me. They don't understand it. It's like really confusing to them. And I had a meeting, ladies came over the other night, and one of them brought cookies, and I said, it's fine, we're going to put them here, we're going to serve them, I just need to know where you're putting them, and we're not going to go in the living room with that. And she was like, what? She's like, I know you're allergic to gluten, but what's this all about? And I said, well, and I showed her, I have a trash can that I can open with my knee. I have soap and I have the water. The water turns on automatically, so I don't have to touch anything because I am cooking gluten for my family. But everything is we don't get any cross contamination because it's that severe. So most people don't understand it, but for me, and that's what I was trying to explain to them, that when I get glutened, it takes me out of life for about 4 or 5 days. Legit. Can't do much because I have no filter. I'm super emotional. I will yell at people. I mean, it's like the filter is gone. And I just am so like, on edge. And that's what gluten does for me. It triggers like this kind of bipolar where I'm either crying profusely or I'm like really just super easily agitated and I'll be yelling at my son or my husband and they're like, oh, here we go, she got gluten. So I have to pray through it. I have to really pay attention. And you guys, that's not fun. God doesn't want me to be that way. That is not something that, is going to help in ministry. So I stay away from it like the plague. I'm like, get it away. I don't even want to touch it. So this is where I just encourage you to understand that certain items in your life, certain things that you might be just using or eating, it's become a vice, and gluten for me was one of those things. And now I've realized I can't do it anymore. So I want you guys to consider what your life would be like if you woke up with full energy, you had a full day of full energy, you felt good, your emotions were stable, you felt like you could handle anything that came your way. That's homeodynamics. Okay, so it's your body's ability to process stressors. And I want that for you. And that's why I come on here and teach you things that aren't specific about oils. I do all oils all the time. You guys know that. And I do all supplements all the time. And I really try to educate you. But oftentimes I get on here and just do like, let's go back to basics. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope that you're going to be able to get just a little bit, even if you took one item, take one item and work on that this week. And then maybe take another one in a couple of weeks and work on that one. So a lot of fun. You guys are a blessing to me, and I appreciate you all. If you want this book, this is the health guide. This used to be called Abundance. We changed it so that these made more sense. The oil guide used to be Wellness, and then the Thieves Guide used to be Purpose. So we just labeled them what they are, but just know that this is going to show you supplements, like the top 10 supplements and how to use them and what they are. But this is going to go into all the health things that you want to know. The Thieves Guide, every single Thieves product that we carry is in here, including the new ones, along with the ingredients and what they do. So you can be 100% certain that there's nothing synthetic or toxic in your home. And it's going to give you all the hacks that everybody loves about the Thieves line. We have so many different fun hacks, like using toothpaste as under armpit care. Like, it works to help deodorize your stinky armpits. It's awesome. And then the oil guide is everything you need to know about starting out with oils, everything. I mean, it goes into pregnancies and babies. It goes into safety, talks about cats and dogs. Some of you guys ask me like, what's the skinny on cats? Well, page 23 tells you everything you need to know about using oils with cats. So tons and tons of recipes. These are great. You can get this on sale, individually, or you can buy them as a set. I encourage you to get the set because it's a way better deal. I think it's like $75 worth of items for $25. And do know that you get a free e-course with a purchase of any one of these books. And that e-course is awesome. So that's it. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Take care, you guys.